Hello and welcome to my newspaper. So this newspaper article is about the information processing theory, and basically what it is the way that people take in and perceive information. And so what I learned about this was how we pay attention to things. The way that we pay attention to things has a really big impact on the way that we seem to process that information, which brings me to perception. So perception is something that we have where we get to use our senses, um, to be able to kind of decode what it is, or in order for us to make better use of the information. Um, Also, another one that I actually found really interesting was um, the one about short um, short term memory. So short term memory works in the way that we only maintain or retain the information that is needed at the time, and it actually made me think about cramming for tests. So when we cram for tests, usually we only retain that information for a certain amount of time, and then it just goes in one ear and then comes out of the other, and we totally forget about it. Um, Another thing that I actually found really fascinating in this whole thing with learning with information processing was the fact that how it said that we tend to focus on one thing, and I think that was attention selective attention, or selective processing, or something along those lines. But the thing was that with that is that we tend to be selective as to what it is that we want to process at the during that amount of time. And it did say, like, we do get distracted with certain things. Like, for example, it made me think about me. When I'm doing homework, sometimes it's really hard because, like, I'll just be doing this, and then I will get distracted because I have a toddler. So if she's being a little bit too quiet, or if something that's obviously going to disrupt me and what I am doing. Um, Another thing that I also found really cool is that I know that a lot of people say that multitasking is not a thing or it's not effective, but it was just really cool to see how our brain can process multiple things during the parallel processing, I believe it was called. So I thought that was really cool. And then there was another one. Um, the way that we process information. So we receive the information. After we receive it, we kind of process it. We see where it's going to be stored, and then we get the outcome, which I thought was really cool. Which actually led me to think to do this, the think before you speak portion of my newspaper. So I know it's probably not accurate, but I was trying to get fun with it, and I was talking about how you can prevent an argument if you actually process the information and then you say what you need to say, or because sometimes we hear to respond, and we don't listen to actually, like, listen. Um, and yes, that was what I got out of information processing. And then as far as, like, my stories for my newspaper, so there's one about struggling with having teens. I actually don't know what that's like. I have a toddler, like I said. So I based that one on my sister, because she actually does do this, the whole thing of, like, changing the Wi-Fi password in order for my niece to do what she needs to do, which I think is really funny. But it really made me think and incorporate how we choose to pay attention to one thing, or we choose to be selective as to what disrupts what we want. Um, and then there was another one, actually. I titled it "The Mad Pooper Caught at Last," which is actually based on, I don't know if you heard, but there was a guy that was actually, like, pooping all over the neighborhoods in San Diego, And so I based it on this, and that's why I have little old Miss Mary Lamb here. So that explains my picture. And yes, so this story was actually pretty funny. Or at least I thought it was funny. So yeah, with that, I conclude my information processing theory. Thank you for listening.